Have you ever had someone stop mid-conversation and say, "Wait, you're how old?" What if looking younger than your age isn't just luck or skincare, but a reflection of how your soul handles storms? Because the truth is, your face is not just aging skin, it's a mirror of how you lived. You've probably heard it before, maybe from a friend, a stranger, a coworker who squinted in disbelief. "You can't be that old. You look way younger." At first, you brush it off as a compliment, a lucky roll of the genetic dice. But what if that reaction wasn't luck at all? What if it was earned? What if you're the kind people see in your energy, your glow, your voice, comes from the choices you've made when no one was watching? Because looking younger than your age isn't just a trick of biology. It's a signal. It's how you carry pain, how you process stress, how you let go or don't. It's in the way your mind dances with life or fights against it. In this video, we're not talking creams or collagen. We're going into the hidden psychological habits that make people appear timeless. Habits rooted in resilience, flexibility, curiosity, and yes, Stoic philosophy. If people have ever looked at you and said, "You can't be that old," you might already be doing these things without even realizing it. And if not, let's uncover the 7 traits. In the first part of this journey, we explored the surprising truth. Looking younger isn't just about your DNA or the moisturizer on your shelf. It's about mindset or resilience, your openness to life, your ability to bounce back when others would collapse. We began unveiling the hidden psychological roots of youth, and now we go deeper. If you saw yourself in the first signs, prepare to meet even more of your power. Because staying young isn't about what's on your face, it's what lives behind your eyes. Let's move on to the next hidden reasons and discover why some people glow with energy, even when the calendar says otherwise. Reason 1. You have an unbreakable spirit. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, how do they still look so calm, so composed, so radiant after everything they've been through? Heartbreak, betrayal, loss, financial collapse, illness, rejection, setback after setback. But when you meet them, you'd never know it. Their smile is still soft, their presence still warm, their eyes still full of life. What's their secret? It's not skincare, it's spirit. They have something deeper, something invisible but powerful, an unbreakable inner world. Because stress doesn't just stay in the mind, it carves itself into the body. People who hold on to resentment, fear, guilt, they wear it. You can see it. Tight jaws, frown lines, sunken eyes, tense shoulders, chronic fatigue. It's not just exhaustion, it's emotional erosion. Stress is the invisible hand that ages you faster than time ever could. Every unshed tear, every unspoken truth, every suppressed scream becomes stored in the body. And the result, a face that looks warped, a posture that sinks, a glow that slowly dims. But then there are the warriors, the ones who walk through fire and come out glowing. Not because the pain didn't hurt, but because they refuse to be destroyed by it. They process. They feel, they release, and they rise. They cry without shame, speak with clarity. and choose peace instead of panic. They've mastered their emotions instead of letting emotion master them. They know this brutal truth. Stress doesn't just steal your peace, it steals your youth out. They refuse to let that happen. So they build a different strategy. They let go of what they can't control. They stay calm during chaos. They refuse to live in a state of emergency. That's why they look younger. Not because they avoided suffering, but because they transmuted it into strength. Science agrees. People with better emotional regulation have lower cortisol levels, and cortisol, the stress hormone, is directly linked to premature aging. Dull skin, wrinkles, muscle loss, poor sleep, weakened immunity. But when you process your pain, when you choose not to live in anxiety or bitterness, you protect your energy. And that protection shows up on your face. It's visible in your skin, your breath, your presence. You look lighter because you are. So, if you've been told you look younger than you are, it's like you never age. You seem so calm and centered. Ask yourself, do I let stress dictate how I show up each day? Do I carry my pain? Or do I process it? Release it. Am I surviving or rebuilding? Because if you've built strength from your struggle, if you've walked through life with your back straight and your spirit intact, you've unlocked the first secret of agelessness. And if you haven't yet mastered that strength, now is the perfect time to begin. Because life will continue to throw storms your way. But only you decide whether they leave scars or shape you into something sharper. Let your peace be your protection. Let your stillness be your shield. Let your mind become your sanctuary. And you won't just survive, you'll glow. Reason 2. You embrace change instead of fighting it. There are people who seem untouched by time not because they've never suffered, but because they've never stayed stuck. They're light on their feet mentally and emotionally. You meet them at 45 or 60, and you'd swear they're at least a decade younger. Why? Because they flow. They're adaptable, flexible, not rigid like so many others who age before their time. They embrace change not because it's easy, but because they know resisting it only makes life harder. Think of someone you know who's constantly fighting the current. They hate change. Complain when things shift. Live in the past. Say things like, "That's not how we used to do it. I miss the good old days. I'm too old for that stuff." And over time, those words etch into their faces like stone. Their body holds the tension. Their minds shut down. Their curiosity fades. Their joy vanishes. They look older not because of the years, but because of the weight they carry from refusing to let go. Resistance becomes armor, and armor gets heavy. But now picture the opposite. Someone who smiles when the plan changes. Someone who says, "Let's see where this goes." Someone who adapts with grace. That's the person who radiates youth because they've learned to dance with life. They aren't obsessed with control. They're at peace with uncertainty. And that mindset keeps them mentally young. It keeps their nervous system lax, their body loose, their face open. Studies show that people who embrace new experiences, whether that's a hobby, a move, a new relationship, score higher on psychological flexibility. And guess what? Psychological flexibility equals emotional resilience equals physical vitality. This kind of person keeps their brain active, their spirit open, their body relaxed. They don't waste energy trying to stop the river. They ride it. Let's make this real. Two people lose their job at 50. One panics, spirals, talks about how it's too late to start again. The other says, well, this is unexpected, but maybe it's time for something better. One ages overnight from stress. The other grows strongly nuclear. The difference, not the situation, but the mindset. Stoics knew this before science did. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." They believed change was not a threat. It was a teacher. To resist it was to resist life itself. To accept it was to stay alive in every sense of the word. So, if you've heard people say, "You always handle things so well, you've got this fresh energy, you look amazing for your age," it might not be genetics. It might be your attitude. The way you let go instead of clinging. Way you breathe instead of breaking. The way you move with life, not against it. That flows through you and people can feel it before they can explain it. Ready to test this? Ask yourself right now. When was the last time I welcomed a change I didn't expect? When was the last time I said yes to something new just because I could? Do I fight for control or do I trust the process? Youth lives in the one who adapts, the one who reimagines, redefines, rebuilds, the one who stops saying "I've always done it this way" and starts asking what's the opportunity here. So if life knocks on your door with change, don't slam it shut. Open it. Let it in, even if it makes you uncomfortable at first. Because discomfort is a sign of growth, and growth is a sign of life. And true life never looks so. If you're someone who bends with the wind, laughs when the plans shift, and keeps asking what's next, then yes, you'll always glow. Because you're not carrying resistance, you're flowing in rhythm. Reason 3. Your mind is always curious. If youth had a sound, it would be the sound of wonder. Not silence, not noise, but that quiet, sparkling what if that lives in the back of the curious mind. And when you meet a person like that, you feel it. They don't just talk, they ask. They don't just observe, they explore. They aren't interested in impressing you, they are interested in learning you. They're like open windows. Even when they've weathered storms, and somehow they look younger than their peers. Why? Because their curiosity has kept them alive. Now let's contrast it. You've met the other type. The one who's closed off not by age, but by attitude. They've stopped learning, stopped trying, stopped asking questions. They sit at the table and say, "I've heard all this before." They hear something new and say, "That'll never work." They see young people and roll their eyes instead of leaning in to learn. And it shows, not just in their words, but in their body. The dull eyes, the rigid walk, the stiffness in their voice, the absence of spark. That isn't age. That's resignation. That's what happens when the brain stops stretching. You see, curiosity is not childish. It's timeless. It keeps your inner world fluid, your neurons firing, your heart open, and from a biological standpoint, it's literal fuel for the brain. Studies show that curiosity enhances memory, increases dopamine, and reduces anxiety, all of which are linked to how your body feels and functions. People who remain curious learn faster, handle stress better, have sharper thinking later in life, and even recover from illness more quickly. Why? Because curiosity is movement, and movement is life. Now here's the secret. Curiosity doesn't mean you have to chase the latest trend or scroll endlessly for new data. It's not about keeping up, it's about staying open. It's in the small things. Reading a book that challenges your beliefs, asking your kid a deep question instead of giving advice, learning to cook something you've never tried, watching a documentary that stirs something in you. You don't have to become an expert. You just have to keep exploring. That's what keeps you young. Not just in spirit, but in energy. Consider this: a man can be 28 and already aged, rigid, close-minded, stuck in routine, and another can be 58, still glowing, asking questions, studying new skills, trying something foolish, fun and unknown. That's you. Youth isn't the absence of years, it's the presence of possibility. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." When your mind stops serving the world, when it stops growing, reaching and learning, you shrink, even if your body still moves. But when you stay curious, when you seek understanding instead of judgment, you not only feed your soul, you feed the hive. You remain vital. You remain relevant. You remain young. Let me give you a practical example. Two women walk into a cafe. One sits with arms folded, scrolling her phone, half listening to the world around her. The other, she notices the artwork on the wall, asks the barista where the beans are from, chats with a stranger about the book they're holding. Which one do you think carries lighter energy? Which one has a face with more light in the eyes? It's not about looks, it's about engagement. The more present and curious you are, the more vibrant you seem, and people feel it. They might say, "You're so sharp. You're full of life. You look amazing for your age." What they're really feeling. Curiosity radiating from you like sunlight through clean glass. So how do you reclaim this? Ask better questions. Wake up and ask, what can I learn today? What have I stopped being curious about? When did I last feel wonder? And if the answer is "I don't know," then that's your invitation. Find one small thing today to question, to discover, to dive into. Because every time you feed your curiosity, you feed your youth. But beware, the world will try to sedate your curiosity through comfort, through routine, through the illusion of certainty. It will tell you that asking questions is impractical, that you're too old to try that you should already have all the answers. But Stoic wisdom doesn't pretend to know everything. It asks again and again, what can this teach me? How do I remain free from assumption? What more is there to see beneath the surface? That humility, that openness, that's vitality. Final thought on reason 3: curiosity doesn't make you immature. It makes you awake. It doesn't mean you're clueless, it means you're boundless. And when you carry that kind of open energy, your age becomes irrelevant. People will say there's just something about you, and what they're sensing is the electricity of someone still becoming. Stay curious and you'll stay young. Closing plus transition to next page so far. We've seen that timelessness comes from the invisible traits: emotional resilience, adaptability, and now relentless curiosity. But there's something else, Some people look younger not just because of how they think, but because of how they feel. That brings us to the next hidden reason. They express emotion freely, deeply, and without shame, and in a world full of numbness that makes them rare. Let's explore why. Reason 4. You express emotion freely. There are people who walk into a room and feel light. Not light as in shallow, but light as in unburdened. Their energy doesn't drag behind them like a shadow. Their face doesn't hold the tension of unsaid words. Their voice isn't sharp with stress or numb from restraint. These people glow not because they've avoided pain, but because they've released it. And when someone looks younger than their age, this is often the quiet truth behind their radiance. They feel what needs to be felt and let it move through them. Now let's talk about the other kind. The ones who age quickly without realizing why. They don't yell. They don't cry. They don't talk about what hurts. Instead, they press it all down like holding the lid on a boiling pot. They smile on the outside, but inside, they're drowning in unshed tears and spoken resentments, decades of emotional tension locked in their chest. They tell themselves, "I'm fine. It doesn't matter. I'm over it." But the body remembers what the mind tries to bury. That heartbreak from 10 years ago, still clenching your jaw at night. That anger from being overlooked, still tightening your shoulders when someone interrupts you. That grief you never allowed yourself to process, still sitting in your throat, waiting to be acknowledged. And over time, all of that, it shows increased cortisol, chronic inflammation, or sleep, weight gain, skin dullness, and the slow, aching erosion of vitality. You age not from years, but from emotional weight. You are never meant to carry this long. But when you express emotion freely, truthfully, and with courage, you unload the weight. You don't carry the grief, you release it. You don't suppress the anger, you process it. You don't fear your tears, you trust them. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because expression is what keeps the emotional system flowing. And flow is youth. Science agrees. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology show that unexpressed emotions, especially chronic anger, sadness, and guilt, are directly linked to accelerated aging. They weaken immune function, increase inflammation, disrupt hormone balance, damage sleep quality. But people who regularly express emotion through healthy communication, journaling, therapy, or even creative outlets are shown to have stronger immune systems, more balanced hormones, lower biological age, and yes, brighter, clearer skin. Because when the soul reads, the body follows. But this isn't about venting on everyone around you. This isn't about drama or emotional outbursts. It's about conscious emotional flow. It's the art of acknowledging your emotions without becoming consumed by them. It's sitting with your sadness, not denying it. Breathing through your rage, not lashing out. Letting the tears come when they must, and feeling no shame in their arrival. That kind of presence. It keeps your nervous system soft, your face open, your spirit calm. Let me make it practical. Think of a man who's been told since childhood, real men don't cry. Get over it. Stop being so sensitive. He learns to bury everything. Years go by, he's successful, he's respected, but inside, he's rigid, he's closed. He's tired in a way that no amount of sleep can fix, and you can see it. He looks older than he should, not from life itself, but from the war he's been fighting inside without ever speaking it aloud. Now compare that to a man who says, "That really hurt me. I need time to process this. I cried last night and I'm not ashamed of it." That man, he looks free. Not because life has been kind, but because he's chosen not to hold the pain hostage inside him. He gave it movement, gave it voice, and in doing so, he gave his body permission to heal. So ask yourself, when was the last time I really cried without rushing to wipe it away? Do I speak what I feel or swallow it out of habit? Have I confused emotional control with emotional suppression? Because Stoicism is not emotional avoidance, it's emotional clarity. Marcus Aurelius didn't say feel nothing. He said feel deeply without being ruled by it. That's where your power lives, and that's also where your youth hides. Emotion is energy meant to move. When it gets stuck, it turns to poison. When it flows, it becomes light. And light is what keeps your face soft, your breath deep, your presence magnetic. So if you've ever been told, "You have such calming energy, you seem so peaceful, you don't look your age at all," it might not be because of what you do in the mirror, but because of what you release behind closed doors. Closing thought. Expressed pain doesn't age you. Unexpressed pain does. So let the storm pass through, don't bottle it. Let your tears fall, don't fear them. Let your joy out loud, don't shrink it. Because every emotion that moves through you keeps you light, keeps you soft, keeps you young. Transition to next page. So far, we've uncovered powerful psychological reasons behind looking younger. You stay emotionally strong. You adapt to change. You stay curious. You express what you feel without fear. But there's one more secret we need to talk about, and it has nothing to do with your mind. It has everything to do with who you surround yourself with. Let's talk about environments and why your energy might be aging you or restoring you. That's reason 5, and it's more powerful than you think. Reason 5. You protect your environment like your peace depends on it, because it does. You can do everything right: eat clean, stay hydrated, work out, sleep 8 hours. But if your environment is toxic, it will age you faster than junk food, faster than stress, faster than time. Why? Because your nervous system doesn't just respond to what's inside you. It responds to who's around you. Let's be honest. Some people don't age you, they drain you. They walk into a room, and it feels like a cloud follows them. Not because they're struggling, but because they refuse to grow. They complain. They gossip. They judge. They argue over everything that doesn't matter and avoid everything that does. And the longer you're near them, the heavier your soul feels. But here's the truth. Your body listens to that. Your nervous system goes into survival mood. Your breathing gets shallow. Your mood drops and your energy becomes dull. You walk away from that conversation feeling older, heavier than when it started. That's not just social fatigue. That's cellular wear and tear. But the opposite. That's where the real glow lives. You walk into a room where people challenge you without competing. They cheer for your wins. They listen without judging. They speak truth, not noise, and something shifts inside you. You feel lighter, brighter, more present, more alive. Why? Because your nervous system relaxes in safe, uplifting space, and when your nervous system is calm, your whole body heals. That's why people who are deeply loved, deeply supported often look younger. Because their environment doesn't age them, it elevates them. Consider this. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but even he warned, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and those thoughts, they are shaped by your surroundings. If you spend every day in a negative space around small minds, low habits, cheap energy, you absorb that. Even if you fight it, you feel it. It changes how you talk, how you rest, how you breathe. It takes years of your life, or it adds them back. Let me be blunt. If someone makes your stomach tighten every time they text, that's not a friendship. If your workspace feels like emotional landmines, that's not just how it is, that's harm. And if your home doesn't feel like peace, then something needs to change. Because where you live mentally, emotionally, physically, will show up on your face. And people will say, "You look tired. Are you okay? You don't look like yourself lately." They're not being rude. They're reading your energy or environment without knowing the full story. So protect it. Not just by cutting people off, but by raising your standard. You don't have to hate anyone to walk away. You don't need permission to set boundaries. You don't owe access to people who repeatedly cost you peace. Distance is a form of self-care. Silence is a form of strength, and peace is a form of power. The people around you, they either recharge you or reduce you, and you feel the difference in your bones. So, if you've been told, you have great energy, you're so calm all the time, you don't seem stressed like other people your age, it might be because of the way you curate your space. You don't let drama inside your home. You don't say yes to everything just to please people. You don't give your energy to things that can't hold it. You've made peace your priority, and the world can see that in you. Questions to ask yourself. Who in my life adds to my peace and who subtracts from it? What places leave me feeling heavier than when I walk? Do I spend more time recovering from people than being restored by them? Because the moment you change who you're around, you change how you age. Your glow doesn't just come from within, it comes from what you allow in. Real talk. Your glow up might not require a new diet. It might require new boundaries. Your younger looking skin might be coming from the fact that you no longer argue with people who don't even listen. Your softness might be because you stopped explaining yourself. Because peace radiates. And it's built in the choices you make every single day about who you give your time, your energy, your ear, your heart. Reflection. Looking younger than your age isn't about escaping time. It's about refusing to let time be stolen by low-frequency noise. Choose people who speak in truth, not ego. Who lift you without keeping score. Who let you breathe, not shrink, and your soul will start to shine through your skin. That's not mysticism. That's biology. That's boundaried living. That's what Stoics call the inner citadel. Your environment is your citadel guarded well. So far, we've seen how deep habits, not surface tricks, are what keep you youthful. From your mindset to your emotional expression to the energy around you. But the final reasons, they're the ones you might never expect. They're subtle, but they complete the circle. Let's go there. Let's explore what really keeps a soul young. Even as the years pass by, let's move to reason 6. So far, we've seen how deep habits, not surface tricks, are what keep you youthful. From your mindset to your emotional expression to the energy around you. But the final reasons, they're the ones you might never expect. They're subtle, but they complete the circle. Let's go there. Let's explore what really keeps a soul young. Even as the years pass by, let's move to reason 6. Reason 6. You have a sense of purpose. There's a difference between being alive and being awake. One means your heart is beating. The other means your spirit is burning. And the people who seem to defy aging, the ones who walk with a certain energy you can't quite explain, they all have one thing in common. They wake up for something, a mission, a craft, a family, a calling, a reason. Purpose is what keeps the soul bright and the skin glowing. Now here's the truth. You can't fake this. You can drink all the green juice in the world, but if your life feels empty, it will show in your posture, in your face, in your words, in your energy. When someone has no reason to rise, their body starts falling. They slump, they slow, they ache, and the world thinks it's age. But it's not. It's purposelessness. Think of someone who's just going through the motions. They wake up out of obligation, not intention. They live on autopilot, not passion. Their days blur into each other, not because of time, but because of lack, and that weight, that emotional flatline. It drains them, like a phone always on low battery, even when fully charged. Because the body isn't tired, the soul is. Now contrast that with someone who has a purpose, big or small, a garden they tend to, a child they raise, a business they build, a community they serve, a message they spread, a legacy they're crafting piece by piece. These people, they stand straighter, they walk with intention, they smile with meaning, and you can see it. Even before they say a word, they glow not from effort but from alignment. They're in sync with something higher than comfort and purpose. It keeps them alive in a way youth never could. Science agrees. Psychological studies on aging have found that people with a strong sense of purpose have lower mortality rates, better memory retention, improved physical resilience, reduced risk of Alzheimer's, and even slower cellular aging. Why? Because the body is wired for a meaning. And when you give it something to live for, it listens. It doesn't decay. It responds. So what does this look like in real life? It's the 75-year-old artist who paints every morning just to express what she can't say. It's the 60-year-old coach who still shows up because young people need wisdom. It's the 50-year-old builder who restores vintage bikes because it gives him peace. They aren't working for money or status. They're doing it because it feeds them, and that nourishment. It keeps the fire lit. That fire makes you radiant. Marcus Aurelius knew this. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." Purpose, in Stoic terms, is not about ambition, it's about alignment. It's about doing what the moment calls for fully. Whether that's raising a child, training a student, serving your community, or simply mastering your craft. A Stoic doesn't live for applause. He lives for action. So ask yourself, why do I get out of bed? What do I give myself to that feels meaningful even if no one sees it? What would my day feel like if I removed the empty noise? Because you don't need fame to have purpose. You need presence. You need a why, something that matters enough to move you. Because when your spirit moves, your body does too. And if you've ever been told, you still seem so alive, you've got this light about you. You're aging in reverse. That's not random. That's the glow of someone walking toward meaning, not away from it. Someone who wakes up with a reason, goes to sleep with a mission, and lives with a fire that keeps the darkness out. And if you don't have that yet, don't panic. You don't find purpose in a single moment. You uncover it in motion, try, explore, serve, create, question, and eventually, you'll stumble into something that stirs your blood. That's your path. Follow it and your body will thank you. Not just with health, but with vitality. Not just with years, but with youth. Final reflection on reason 6. Looking younger than your age isn't about chasing youth. It's about chasing meaning. It's about being alive for a reason, even when life tries to numb you. Purpose lifts the soul, and when the soul is lifted, the body follows. So if your eyes still sparkle, if your steps still carry rhythm, if your presence still turns heads, you've likely chosen to live with something bigger than yourself. And that choice, that's what keeps you timeless. Now, we've uncovered 6 powerful truths. You bounce back from stress. You flow with change. You keep your mind open. You express your emotions. You got your space. And you wake up with purpose. But there's one last reason people stay vibrant. A quiet, invisible trait that can't be bought or bottled. They live in peace with themselves. Let's talk about that next. Reason 7. You live in peace with yourself. This is the final one, and maybe, just maybe, it's the rarest of them all. Because we've talked about mindset, we've talked about expression, we've talked about purpose, but the deepest reason you still carry that glow, that softness, that light in your face, is because somewhere along the way, you made peace with who you are. Not the perfect version, not the filtered one, not the overachiever or the always healing soul, but you, as you are right now. You with the regrets, with the old wounds, with the moments you don't talk about in public. You've made peace with the full story. And that kind of self-acceptance, it's magnetic, it's ageless. You see, most people don't age from life. They age from the war they keep fighting inside themselves, the guilt they carry, the shame they never release, the expectations they never meet. The voice that says you're still not enough, that's what wears you down. Not time, but self-rejection. And the most tragic part, they don't even know it's happening. They think it's aging. They think it's stress. They think it's just the way things are. But it's not life aging them. It's the pressure of always needing to prove, to fix, to achieve, to outperform their own shadow. And that tension, it harms the jaw, it dims the eyes, it curls the shoulders, it steals the softness from your presence. But the ones who look younger, they carry something different, not better skin, not better genetics, but a deeper kind of ease. They've forgiven themselves for what they didn't know back then. They've stopped trying to outrun their past. They've stopped needing to earn their worth every day. They've dropped the armor. And what's left is, Marcus Aurelius wrote, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think comes when you stop needing their approval and your own. That line, it's the whole truth. When you no longer need to outperform your own insecurity, you start glowing with peace. It's not loud. It's not flashy. But people notice. They feel it in your stillness, in your kindness, in your presence. And they say things like, you look amazing. You haven't aged a day. There's something about your energy. They're not complimenting your face. They're complimenting your freedom. So ask yourself, do I speak to myself like someone I love or someone I'm trying to fix? Have I made peace with what I didn't get? Can I sit in silence with myself and feel safe? Because your glow doesn't come from perfection. It comes from permission to stop striving for a worthiness and just be. Let me make this simple. When you live in peace with yourself, you sleep better, you breathe deeper, you laugh louder, you soften, you shine, and time becomes relevant. Because you're no longer racing it, you're walking beside it, and it walks gently with you. This isn't the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new one, where you don't need to prove your strength, where you stop apologizing for your softness, where your reflection becomes a friend, not a critic, where peace becomes the lens you wear, and everything you see through it becomes more beautiful, even you, especially you. The soulful truth, looking younger than your age, isn't just physical. It's spiritual. It's psychological. It's emotional alignment in a chaotic world. You don't look younger because you've avoided life. You look younger because you've learned how to carry it. With grace, with boundaries, with truth, with joy. You don't fight your past, you learn from it. You don't resist the future, you prepare for it. And you don't reject yourself, you return to yourself. And that's what people see when they look at you and say, you don't look your age. What they're seeing is someone who finally stopped aging from the inside out, because they started living from the inside in. If this message reminded you of who you are, or gave language to something you've always felt, like this video right now, comment below, "Peace is my glue," or "I age in stillness, not stress." Share this with someone who glows from the inside out, or someone who needs to, and subscribe to Wisdom Soul for weekly reflections that bring beauty, meaning, and clarity back into your life. Until then, stay soft, stay strong, stay timeless, stay stoic.